Welcome to Dr. Day's Business Cafe. Thank you for joining me for this episode. I am Dr. Aretha LePearl Day, and on this platform, I serve up freshly brewed organic topics for BIPOC entrepreneurs, small business owners, dreamers, creators, innovators, disruptors, and bricoleurs. So, without further ado, let's jump right into today's topic. In a previous episode, Greatness Within You, I explained that successful African American entrepreneurs and Black business owners of previous generations have left us examples of greatness and legacy, including passion, dreams realized of financial independence, ingenuity, creative problem solving, love of family and community, ambition and drive, hope, faith and tenacity, perseverance, focus, discipline, determination, dignity, and self respect, self confidence, and courage, as well as leadership, self reliance, and self funding, as well as excellence. Their entrepreneurial spirit and ability to overcome insurmountable odds while repeatedly navigating a society that was plagued by racism, systemic racism, Jim Crow laws, hate crimes that devalued and marginalized their worth, vandalized and destroyed their properties, threatened their lives, restricted and denied their access to liberties and financial capital. There were noteworthy African American entrepreneurs and Black business owners, some famous and some not so famous throughout the years, from slavery to present, who accomplished their dreams and made significant advancements in comparison to the overwhelming challenges that they faced. They were able to prove to themselves and demonstrate to their communities, their families, and to the world that they were capable of greatness. Now, I have wondered and intentionally pondered, what is it? What is it that they possess? And after much deliberation, I concluded that they had grit. Yes, grit. Not grits for breakfast, but grit, meaning that they had resolve, staying power against all odds, unyielding courage in the face of adversity. They had strength of character, the courage to go on when all else looked hopeless. Grit, they had, meaning they had passion, perseverance, and persistence combined. They had a tenacity and the will to succeed when others encouraged them to give up or gave up themselves. They had people that walked away from them, team members or maybe partners that they had gone in business with, that just quit for whatever reason or left their agreement, but they still found a way to carry on. Grit is also being willing to grind when you are out of energy, out of money, out of hope. You are just out, but you are so determined to press on anyway, anyhow, and by any positive means necessary. So let's now look at some actual research to back up what I'm saying. Anytime that I bring a subject to you, I also like to bring the statistical facts, the empirical data to back up what I'm saying, so that you know that I'm not just talking from my own experiences or that I'm talking from just my opinion, but I also want to bring you empirical data and research so that you can make your own decision about and conclusions about what I'm saying versus just taking my word for it. So, several research studies have been conducted to measure individuals' level of grit. And the best known research study on grit was conducted by Angela Duckworth and Marty Seligman, who found that tenacity, self discipline, and hard work outperformed individuals' talent and natural giftedness in their most prominent study. And then in another study, Angela Duckworth, along with her colleagues Peterson, Matthews, and Kelly, created a scale to measure individuals' grit and have consistently found that the grit scale, which it is called, to be indicative of a person's tenacity and staying power or the lack thereof in trying situations. And I will put links to these studies in the comments area below so that you can look at them yourself. So, grit is an indicator of a person's willingness to apply themselves with deliberate, daily discipline and habit with laser focus over many, many years. And the studies found, several studies found that it's usually from a minimum of 10 years to 20 years for people to attain their desired goal of greatness. And of course, there are outliers where, a person might do it in a year, 6 months, 3 months, or whatever the time is that is outside and shorter than that 10 to 20 year range that researchers have found, discovered in previous studies. But on average, they found that it takes 10 to 20 years for a person to reach greatness, and on the world class stage is usually 20 years. So, and that can change. Things can always be changed, can change and evolve. So, I'm sharing this information with you. If you have comments about that, I'd love to know your comments. So, leave those below in the comments section. So, my question to you today is: got grit? These are the questions that I encourage you to ask yourself and to ponder. The first one is: do you have the grit and the staying power to sustain your dream, to sustain your business goal over a prolonged period of time? The second question is: do you have the grit to face unexpected uh, situations in business with resolve, courage, and innovative problem solving? My third question to you today is: do you have the grit to pivot in business to survive until you can regroup, recover, and reach your goals and realize your vision? We saw a lot of that in the pandemic. The beginning part of the pandemic is that businesses and individuals of all uh, sizes and of all backgrounds, educational levels, all classes. It didn't matter. We all had to pivot in one way or another. So we had to find the grit within us. We had to find that staying power within us. We had to find that resolve within us to go on and not just survive, but find a way to thrive in the pandemic. So we still need to continue to evaluate our level and our level of grit. Another point I'd like to make, some people might say that grit and resilience are the same thing because that's a word that we hear a lot of. You have to be resilient. Successful people are resilient, and I'm all for resilience. I want to make the point here, though, that grit and resilience are two different things. So don't mix that up or dismiss this conversation because you've heard talks or books or whatever, or blogs, whatever, about resilience. Grit is being able to grind it out in the middle of adversity. Resilience is when you've been knocked down. You've been knocked off your game, and that the you have the courage, you have the determination to come back from that and to get back up. So grit, if we're thinking about it in terms of like a boxing match, I think that's a really good analogy to use. If we're thinking about a boxing match, grit is being able to have the staying power to stay in the fight, stay on your feet, to keep taking jabs and punches and continuing to fight on. Resilience is when you've been knocked down in the fight, but you have the courage, the determination to get back up. So, we really need grit and resilience, but today we're talking about grit. So, if your answer is yes, that you do have the grit to do these different things that I've mentioned in these earlier questions, I say that's great. I congratulate you. Um, for having cultivated a gritty mindset and heart. If you say no, I might need to fortify this in myself in some way, then I suggest that you find a book, a movie, a documentary, a song, a speech, a YouTube channel, hint, hint, this channel, or whatever works for you to find encouragement and strategies to fortify your grit, because we need grit to stay in the game of business and the game of life. For example, I like reading books and watching stories about how real life people of color overcame various situations or obstacles in their lives. Um, my mother was my number one example of a person who had unyielding grit and strength of spirit. She was a strong willed, strong minded woman. But I also like to add to my repertoire of tenacious role models and leaders. One person that I admire greatly is Radio One owner Kathy Hughes' story as a young black single mom who was also a business owner resonated deeply with me. I had a printout of her story, and I used to pull it out periodically when I was struggling, to give me hope that I could make it in business too, that, I could go on. Another one most of us know about is Madam C.J. Walker. I have her book, uh, written by, I think it's her great granddaughter. And I've also read it several times. I also did a paper on her in college as my heroine, that I clung to her story and still do, because of what she was able to accomplish during her time in her era. Queen Latifah's story, or not her story, but Queen Latifah's character in Beauty Shop, although fictitious, resonated with me and gave me hope, because her character so much so resembled. I was a massage therapist in real life, and she was a beautician. She was a business owner, but she was a beautician. And so her story paralleled mine um, in so many ways. And so her character was feisty, witty, and displayed a quality of grit and determination, while also raising her child as a single mom. So her beauty shop character resonated with me greatly, and helped me to fortify my grit. So, do you have a real life person or a character whose grit inspires you? If so, please share your story um, in the comments, and how their grit inspires your grittiness. And I'm sure that their story will inspire and fortify us all. And on another note, I ask that you like, share, comment, and continue to tune in to this channel as I share relevant information for your success. So, with that said, let's continue to level up personally, make a positive impact professionally, and live our best lives while building lasting legacies for our families, our communities, and for our tomorrows. Until next time, my BIPOC entrepreneurs, small business owners, dreamers, creators, innovators, disruptors, and bricoleurs, I bid you adieu. God bless and take care.